As the saying goes, you either die a hero or you live long enough to become an AI monstrosity. What is up, guys, and welcome to Velocity Gaming. I'm Gil, and today I'm giving you the news. That's right, guys, we're going to do something a little bit different on the channel today. Normally my channel is all about lists and reviews, but today we're going to go over a news story that's very special to my heart. We're going to talk about the leadership shakeup over at Microsoft. Xbox Gaming is going over a big significant change, and it's something that I want to voice my opinion of. Of course, this is coming a week after the news broke, so I wanted to settle in, get my thoughts, and collect my opinion before I produce this video. And that's why this video is coming out a week after everything has happened. So, we're going to break this episode into 3 segments. The first segment is going to be the news. I'm going to go over the facts of what has just happened over at Microsoft Gaming. The second segment is going to be my overall thoughts, opinion, and my connection to Xbox and Microsoft in particular. And the third segment is going to be about the future of Microsoft Gaming. Is Xbox still going to be a brand? We don't know, but there's plenty of time to speculate about that going forward, and we'll get to that in that third segment. So without further ado, let's get into the news. On February 20th, IGN broke the news that Phil Spencer, longtime CEO of Xbox, was retiring from his role, along with Sarah Bond, his seemingly successor at the company, resigning short thereafterwards. Unfortunately, the news was not made public by Microsoft or anyone over at Xbox until the IGN story broke. So, to save face, Microsoft went ahead and released a public statement. Here's what IGN's official article had to say. Microsoft Gaming CEO Phil Spencer has been with Microsoft since he joined as an intern in 1988 and with Xbox since the software giant launched its first console in 2001, is retiring. Sources familiar with the matter who are not authorized to speak publicly confirmed to IGN. Spencer's retirement is effective on Monday, February 23rd. Meanwhile, Xbox president Sarah Bond, long thought to be both inside and outside of Microsoft to be Spencer's heir apparent, has resigned. The new CEO of Microsoft Gaming will be Asha Sharma, currently the president of Microsoft's Core AI product. And finally, Xbox Game Studios head Matt Booty is being promoted to Chief Content Officer and will work closely with Sharma. I want to thank Phil for his extraordinary leadership and partnership, Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella said in an email sent to Microsoft staff. Over 38 years at Microsoft, including 12 years leading gaming, Phil helped transform what we do and how we do it. And just like that, the swing of things have changed in the gaming landscape. Phil Spencer was longtime thought to be the savior of Xbox. Since 2013, Microsoft has gone through some very big PR blows ever since the launch of the Xbox One. Phil Spencer came in and radically changed the way Microsoft did business. Phil Spencer is kind of a polarizing figure in the minds of Xbox fans. In one part, he's responsible for restructuring and kind of bringing back the PR of Xbox with the release of Xbox Game Pass, long thought to be kind of the savior of the console, bringing a lot of good PR and value to the console, while also delivering on some really cool perks, including launching day one titles on Xbox Game Pass, things like Forza Horizon, Halo Infinite, Gears of War 5, things like that all came to the subscription platform. But as of the last 5-6 years, Xbox's strategy has been kind of turning tail and running away. In many ways, Phil Spencer and Microsoft has kind of lost their edge in the competition market, fully acknowledging that they lost the console wars to Sony and that they're no longer competing with Sony to shift PlayStations out of people's homes and put in Xboxes, which I think was always kind of a backwards thought. I think Xbox and PlayStation has always been kind of a yin and yang kind of relationship. And I'll go more into that in a little bit when I talk about my personal history of Xbox. But Phil Spencer being a polarizing figure meant that this change, it could be good for Microsoft or it could be bad. In many ways, people find Phil to be responsible for the recent downturn of Xbox and why the sales have been so poor over the last 5 years. Also, Sarah Bond. Her resignation has a little bit of a stain on it. Many people thought she was going to be the successor to Phil Spencer, but instead she resigns. Many people thought it's because they weren't going to promote her to the CEO of Xbox, and so she resigned out of spite or anger. There was no public addressing of Sarah Bond on any of the emails that Satya Nadella wrote. There were no references to her from Asha Sharma's side either. It's like she just quietly quit, and it's kind of sad. Sarah Bond also is a polarizing figure for Xbox. In fact, I'd say she's mostly negatively referred to with Xbox fans, mostly because she was in charge of the big branding change that happened over the last few years. The "This is an Xbox" campaign, infamous for kind of convincing people to not go out and buy an Xbox because they already have one on their laptop and their fridge and their Meta Quest 3. It's kind of silly that they even marketed themselves like that, just to push Xbox Game Pass subscriptions. And for that, the legacy of both Phil Spencer and Sarah Bond were interlocked into a very negative stigma. And now we turn our attention to Asha Sharma, who was the president of Instacart, Home Depot, and formerly of Microsoft's Core AI department. Her promotion leaves things a little bit questionable in terms of Xbox, simply because her being on the AI side of things, she's also unfamiliar with the Xbox platform. She's clearly said that she's not a gamer. And Satya Nadella has recently been on a kick of putting Copilot and all these AI projects into the Microsoft and Windows ecosystem. Windows 11 is heavily pushing Copilot as the main launching platform of Windows 11, and now they want to inject Copilot into Xbox's branding. And I think Asha Sharma, being the new CEO of Xbox, gives credence to the rise of AI as a priority over at Microsoft. And this could be very, very troubling for Xbox fans. Who wants to be playing a game of Halo and then all of a sudden a Copilot pop-up appears that says, "Hey, you're having trouble with this level. Here, let me get you through it." It sounds like some Terminator-style Skynet shit. And I am not here for it whatsoever. And look, you don't have to be a gamer to run a gaming studio, although it certainly does help. Phil Spencer, for example, he was a very big part of Xbox because he was a first and foremost gamer. He knew what the gamers wanted, and that was his big pitch to the consumers as he was brought on to lead Microsoft. Him being a gamer meant that he gave studios a bigger, better opportunity. Ninja Theory, for example, with the whole Hellblade series. That was a big part of Xbox's transition into indie at Xbox and many of the initiatives that Game Pass provided these developers. And now with Asha Sharma coming in, her not having these relationships, this bond with gamers and with the Xbox ecosystem, it leaves things a little bit questionable as to how corporate is she going to be when running these things. What was really funny was about a couple days after she was announced as the CEO, people went sleuthing about her gamer tag, and they saw that her gamer tag was only created like a month ago, and a lot of the achievements that she earned were only earned like a couple days ago and in quick succession, leading to believe that maybe she had other people in her family or household playing these games for her to make her look like she was a gamer. In fact, she even responded to one person on Twitter saying that her favorite 3 games of all time were GoldenEye, Halo, and Valheim. Listen, if you're a Halo fan, you do not say your favorite video game is Halo. You refer to the specific games in the franchise as your favorite. For example, me. My favorite Halo of all time is Halo 3 because I know exactly when and where I was when I first played that game. No one ever just calls it Halo. They'll either say Combat Evolved, Halo 2, Halo 3, ODST, Reach, Infinite, Halo 5. You know, the list goes on and on. They will specifically say which of the Halo series is their favorite, but her just spitballing like that is very much like an AI response. Some people are even questioning whether she is run by AI on her social media. It just leads more credence into Microsoft being so out of touch with their consumers. Don't try to pitch Asha Sharma as a gamer. If she clearly is not, don't have her make these responses. Just have her say, "Hey, I'm here to run a business. I don't know what gaming is. I've never played a game, but I'm willing to learn and grow the business as a whole." I think it would be very crude, of course. A lot of people wouldn't like it, but at the same time, they would respect her honesty a lot more than doing this little dance that she's doing to try and pass off as a gamer where she clearly isn't. So let's get to the next segment, my personal connection with Xbox. So true story. It's 2008. I just get my first financial aid check for college, and I spend it on my books, my parking permit, and I still have a bit of money left over to last me for the semester. And one of the things that I was really wanting for a very long time was I wanted an Xbox 360. And at this time, Halo 3 had just launched a couple months before. And I was like, screw it. I'm working my way through college. I have a full-time job. I have this extra cash from my financial aid. Let me go out and get an Xbox 360. And from that day, I rooted myself into the Microsoft ecosystem. I went out, I got my Xbox 360, I got a copy of Halo 3, Lego Batman, and Pure, and I fell in love with the Xbox ecosystem. Prior to 2008, I'd always been a PlayStation guy. I had a PlayStation 2 growing up, a PlayStation 1, played Twisted Metal, Tony Hawk Pro Skater, Tony Hawk Underground, all those games. And this was my first introduction into the Xbox console. When I was in high school, though, when I was playing high school football, it was mostly me and my friends every Friday night after a football game. We would go over to my best friend Chris's house, and we would all do these Halo 2 LAN parties. So it was about time for me to own my own Xbox console. And when I bought that 360, the game had changed. I went from strictly a Sony guy to an Xbox guy. I liked the counter programming between the two consoles. I liked that Sony became more about the single player exclusives and the Japanese RPGs, whereas Microsoft was more about the first-person shooters and the American-style RPGs. They leaned more into like Left 4 Dead, Mass Effect, Halo, Gears of War, whereas Sony still had their Final Fantasies and the Resident Evils and soon-to-be Last of Us and all the Naughty Dog titles. So for me, my tribalism was mostly on the Xbox side. I mostly sided with Microsoft because I liked that they're an American company and because of the games. But I still had a huge respect for Sony because of my history with those games. It's just when I had to come down to the two choices, either PlayStation 3 or 360, I went with the 360, which happened to have been the right choice at the time. 360's generation kicked so much ass. It was the best console on the market. And Sony kind of took a little bit of a hit. They still sold really well. The PlayStation 3 is still a very good console, and it supported Blu-ray discs, which was pretty awesome. But Microsoft was where I hitched my wagon to. And then 2013 happened, and the Xbox brand kind of imploded upon itself. Don Matrick, fuck you. But yeah, so I've been riding high with Xbox ever since. I've gone to E3, Xbox Game Fest. I've met Major Nelson, Phil Spencer, Bonnie Ross, Kiki Wolfkill, Cliff Bleszinski. I've had conversations with these guys, and I really fell in love with the ecosystem. Here's a photo of me with Phil. Yeah, not my most flattering photo. I think I was at like 260 pounds when I took that photo. God, I've lost a lot of weight since then. But yeah, I've fell in love with this series. Aaron Greenberg, also another really cool guy. I fell in love with these guys. I love the underdog story. Yeah, I could have hopped onto the PlayStation 4 bandwagon and been there for The Last of Us and been there for God of War and stuff, but I stuck through with Xbox because I believed that they were turning things around. And at a certain point, Xbox was the value console. It was a really good place to, you buckle down with your Game Pass subscription. You get games that even PlayStation is not offering on PlayStation Plus. The competition was bringing innovation between both Xbox and PlayStation. But eventually, the competitive edge, that fire burned out for Phil Spencer and Microsoft. They were burning way too much money trying to compete with Sony, and finally they just threw in the towel. I remember vividly the day that I turned my back on Xbox and kind of went back to PlayStation was the day that Phil Spencer went on a podcast with Paris Lilly, where he talked about how Microsoft lost the gaming console wars and that he didn't want to replace people's PlayStations. It was this whole inspiration of when everyone plays, we win sort of approach that he was going with Xbox. And as a consumer, you don't want to hear that. As someone who owns just one console, hearing the CEO of the company of the console that makes that brand, it makes you think, well, if you're not going to compete with them, if you're not going to innovate and you're not going to give us exclusive games, why am I still on this console then? And shortly thereafter, they gave Gears of War and Forza Horizon 5 over to PlayStation, and that was the nail in the coffin for me. I thought, I liked having both consoles because there was a yin and yang. Both kind of complemented each other, and they brought out the best of one another. But if Xbox is throwing in the towel, if Microsoft is throwing in the towel, if Phil Spencer is giving up, then why keep the Xbox when I could just go to PlayStation and just play every single PlayStation game, every single Xbox game, and just be happy with one console? Or just fully transition to Steam if PlayStation was now going to put their games over on Steam. The gaming console was over, and Phil Spencer threw in the towel. Look, I wasn't expecting Microsoft to replace PlayStation, but they had a good thing going. The Series S was a really well-selling console. It was a good complement to the PlayStation 5. A lot of my buddies who are big Nintendo and Sony guys, they got a Series S so that they could play Halo. It's a cheaper alternative, they don't have to break the bank, but they still had an Xbox in their home. Now there's no reason to. Now they're out. There's no reason to own an Xbox anymore. And because of that interview, it soured me on Phil Spencer and the Xbox brand and what they were doing. Shortly thereafter, Aaron Greenberg also turned off comments on his social media. You could tell he was kind of tired of the tribalism. He was tired of getting harassed about Xbox fans who are now coming at them saying like, well, why are you guys giving up? But it's a reasonable criticism to give this company. We stuck by you guys. We ate crow for so many years only for you guys to give up. It's just sad. And with Phil Spencer's retirement and Sarah Bond's resignation, it now fully feels like the next chapter of my gaming life has started. I'm now going to just strictly play on PlayStation or Steam when I can and just be done with Xbox. I don't think I'll ever own an Xbox ever again. I mean, there's also the price hikes, the Game Pass that we have to talk about. The Game Pass price hike was insane. I had to reduce my Game Pass subscription from the Ultimate down to Essential just because $30 a month is outrageous. They stripped away perks, they stripped away a lot of the really cool things that made me like being a Game Pass subscriber, like the reward system, the DLC discounts, things like that. All of that gone, prices go up, console prices go up, exclusives go down. Like every single wrong move that Microsoft could make, they made. And so with the transition away from Phil Spencer, I'm hoping that a lot of that will go away. Maybe they'll try to restructure their PR firm and try and get their image back to where it was. But I'm not holding my breath. And with that, it's an easy transition. Let's talk about the future of Xbox. Seamus Blackley is the former CEO of Microsoft Gaming and was the original designer of the OG Xbox. He has recently said in an interview that he believes that Asha Sharma's job is to transition Xbox to go quietly into the good night, meaning that he thinks that Xbox will be sunset in the very near future. Is that the future of Xbox? Is that what we're coming to expect from Asha Sharma's role? Asha Sharma has gone on the attack and has said that she wants to bring back Xbox. She's listening to all criticism and even responded to people who told her we need exclusives back on the console. I don't think that's going to happen. But I mean, she does seem like she wants to learn about this process. She does want to learn about how to get Microsoft competitive again. I don't know to what extent that means, but it's fair to speculate that AI is going to be a big part of it. Jobs are going to be streamlined. And I think the one big thing you could bet on with this new power vacuum that has been left by Phil Spencer leaving, those studios that Xbox bought, Activision, Bethesda, Ninja Theory. If I'm an employee at one of those studios, man, I'm watching my back because you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know if she's going to come in, clean house, clean out the fat, leave only the profitable studios. You know, going forward, we're probably only going to get Fallout, Elder Scrolls, and Call of Duty games from those developers going forward. And if that does happen, man, I can very much see Xbox just being an app. I don't think that they'll go back into hardware. I'm pretty sure they're going to still come out with the next gen Xbox. But after that, I think there's a lot of questions of whether they will just become a third-party platform, publish on Steam, maybe integrate themselves into the Steam box when that comes out. But yeah, I think Seamus Blackley does have a little bit of reason to believe that Xbox is going to get sunset. It may not be the traditional sense that we've come to know of the console for the past 25 years, but it's going to change. In my heart, I want Xbox to continue. As I said earlier in the video, competition breeds innovation. And as long as Xbox is there to challenge Sony, a lot of the malpractices and anti-consumer practices that Sony has wanted to do for many years have been put on the back burner because they've been waiting for Xbox to respond, and vice versa. PlayStation Plus wouldn't have been what it is today if it weren't for Xbox Live. Xbox wouldn't be what it is today without Sony talking shit about them about the used games trades and things like that, and challenging them back in 2013. Both companies deserve each other. They both belong in the same space, but they also need to want to be there. And if Microsoft no longer wants to be a console, well, then I myself will no longer be a Microsoft consumer. All right, and I think we're going to leave it right there. Thank you all for watching the video and watching me yap. I want to hear from you guys now. Sound off in the comment section down below what you think the future of Microsoft gaming is. Is Xbox as a brand dead? Let me know. Be sure to like the video and subscribe so you don't miss my next content drop. Also, join my Discord if you guys are a gamer, a sports fan, wrestling fan. We have channels for everything to get you guys interested and into the conversation. Also, follow me on social media so you know when my next video is coming. And subscribe over on Twitch. I'll be doing a WWE 2K26 live stream for launch night, where I'm going to be doing the showcase challenge and seeing if I could get through that all in one stream. It'll be a lot of fun. But once again, thank you all for watching. And remember, always move forward.